Miriam Lowenbraun was a biton shel tzadikim b'tzidkanios. Dorei doros tzadikim kedoshim tahorim b'Yisrael. She grew up in Denver with her great father, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Rav Shlomo Twersky, Horner Steipler Rebbe, and her great mother, Rebbetzin Leah Twersky, Aleichem HaShalom, Shkusi Yogan Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. A wonderful husband, Rabbi Yitzchak Lowenbraun, did everything for his wife, Yomam V'Layla. Her beautiful children, her Einiklach, uncles, aunts, cousins. Everybody misses Mimi horribly. And we've just begun. In Parshas Baalospa this week, the Torah says that the candles have to go up. Baalospa Saineros. And Rashi says, until the flame rises by itself. Every person in this room had their flame lit by Miriam Lowenbraun. We were all touched by her deep honesty and her integrity, her tznius, her independence, her strength, and the way that Mimi and Lahabdo Min Chaim L'Chaim Itchi touched people was Aja Tehei Hashalevis Ola Me'aleha. They were with you until you stood on your own, and they built people. And they had that great and amazing koyach to step back when the time was right. We are here today to honor her great life. Her brother, Rav Mordechai Twersky, the sisters, we all know the strength that Mimi had. So maybe it's in a certain way right that she's the first one. Because she knew how to blaze a trail for people to follow. I would like to call upon Harav, Dr. Abraham Twersky, known to the Mishpacha as Uncle Shia, Shlita, to say Divrei Hesped about his dear niece.
Just as they were bringing Miriam in here My mind went back a few decades. And I was there when she was born. And they brought her in. I was there when she came into the world. And now to be beloved when she leaves the world. She was born on the day after Tisha B'Av. I was talking with my brother about the name. We're going to name a name after my great-grandmother, Sarah Miriam, but her grandmother was Sarah, so could only give the name Miriam. And because it was the day after Tisha B'Av, the Choma. And both names exemplify her life. The Baba Sarah Miriam, very late in life when she had totally lost her memory, she said, Ich weiß nicht, wer ich bin. Ich weiß nicht, wo ich bin. Aber ich weiß, wem ich bin. I don't know who I am, I don't know where I am, but I know whose I am. And Miriam never forgot who she was. In Nechama, she lived her life with Nechama. She was very much my father's grandchild. In more ways than one. When I told the doctor a number of years after her first tumor that she had rhabdomyosarcoma, the doctor said the diagnosis was wrong. Because no one without rhabdomyosarcoma survives. The diagnosis was not wrong, it was confirmed. And no one with rhabdomyosarcoma survived unless they had a Zayda who broke down the gates of heaven. And his tefillas saved her life. But it was a life of suffering. And you know, you think back to the story of the Rebbe Reb Zusha, who they asked how he can make the bracha she'osa li kol tzolki when he is totally deprived of everything. And he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows my needs better than I do. And he knows one of my needs is suffering. And Mimi believed that. Mimi's emunah was unbelievably strong. Difficult to realize that in this generation, we're not talking about a generation of Gedolim of several hundred years ago, but in this generation, there could be someone who could be Mekabel Yisurim Be'ahava. Yes, I remember my father, before Kiddush, in his last few days, said, Mizmor l'Dovid gam ki elech b'geitz ha'moves lo yira o ki ato yimodi. And Miriam followed in his ways. Gam ki elech b'geitz ha'moves lo yira o ki ato yimodi. Until the very end, she was totally fearless. Totally secure in her emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't know if it is customary to speak about women with the title of Morenu, but Mimi was our teacher. and she taught us what it means to have a firm emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now, Mimi, you're going back to Zayda. You're going to have your permanent place next to your father, Zechron Levracha. And Zayda will welcome you. You are his child. And you transition from this world to the next world will be a very pleasant one. You will have a fantastic Kabbalist pony. So, Miriam, we ask you, in my name, the name of my mishpacha, the name of the entire family, the name of all your friends, that if we did not appreciate you properly, if Chas v'Shalom we did anything to offend you, that you should be mochel asa machila gemura, and you should be a melitzas yosha for your mishpacha, your children and grandchildren, for the entire mishpacha, and for Klal Yisrael. Go to the Zaydas and ask them to have final Rachmanis, just as they had Rachmanis on you, to have Rachmanis on Klal Yisrael, and bring us the Yeshua and the Geula Kraiva. Amen.
Miriam's uncle, Harav Aaron Tversky.
How do we say goodbye? We won't hear your sweet voice. Your love that enveloped all of us. Unconditional love. Every once in a while, the Rebbeinu Shalom sends down a neshama to this world that is pure and good and gives us faith again in humanity, gives us faith that the world can be good. My brother mentioned this. It's a day I will never forget. 50 years ago, within weeks, but it's 50 years ago, my brother Michel and I went to Madison to speak to Mimi's doctors. And they told us that she has between 30 and 60 days to live. Mimi was his favorite. She was everybody's favorite. And I saw Zayda at the time and the weeks that followed. And I have no doubt, as I let them for 50 years. But Zayda's not here right now. And there was no one worthy of being able to prolong her life. Remarkable, all the years that she and Itzi were involved in Kiruv. She comes, the Shemayim, surrounded by hundreds and thousands of mitzvahs, maybe tens of thousands of mitzvahs. And she did it all with that heavy leg. Gedav schleppen, and it never stopped her from doing what she thought she had to do. Where she got the koiches, I have no idea, but she had them. I said she was Zayda's favorite. She was the sister's favorite. She was the cousin's favorite. And as we were driving in from New York, my nephew Itzi said, and for good reason, because it was Meshichmu Lamayla Gvaya Mikalam. She was greater than anyone else around. She was just a great, entirely selfless human being. I will repeat. You come up to the Yerem Emes and you meet your father's Achim Levoncha and your Zaydis. Please tell them enough. Let them come to say Yaakov and say Rebbeinu Shalom, enough. Enough of Yiddish service, enough for pain, enough for illness. Enough. The 50 years that she was granted, she was able to build a beautiful family, children and sons-in-law, each and every one of them a jewel. She told me when I visited her 2 weeks ago, that she was at peace with leaving this world. But she had a concern that she would have liked to have seen Shlomi and Shoshana under the chuppah. Mimi, auf jenem Olam sollst du es ausbeten. They served you. I saw all the children, and especially Shoshana, whose dedication over the last year was unbelievable. She lived day and night to make her mother comfortable. And we need that she should be a Melitza Yeshavit, that should be bring her unbelievable schlusim, her greatness, her dedication, her warmth, to remind the Levia Shalom that he owes her one. He owes to see to it that the family can go on and can receive in the Chama, and that they will follow in her footsteps. I don't know that she can be repeated, because I don't know that there's someone else that I've ever met who had her qualities. But as much as it is possible for those to repeat and to emulate her, they should do so. That will be the greatest nechama. it's strange. She would always say, Uncle Aaron, when are you coming to visit me? And I never found the time. In the last 2 weeks, we found the time. So, Mimi, we ask you, Mechila, if we have offended you and didn't treat you with the respect that for a tzaddikus of your sort deserve. And let us hope that from this moment on we'll be Bilah Mobus Netzach U'Mocha Hespedim Al Kol Ponim Amen V'Yamein.
Harav Mordechai Twersky, Horner Steipler Rebbe of Brooklyn, brother of Mrs. Lowenbraun.
At this point, I'm lucky if I remember what was said, not where it was said. It says, Moshe Rabbeinu took Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama ben Neshikas, ben Misas Neshika. He took Miriam and Levia's neshama ben Neshikas, Levia. What does it mean to take that the Rosh takes a neshama ben Neshika? So the Medrash said the Moshe Rabbeinu came to Moshe Rabbeinu and put him in the Ma'ara, and he said, Moshe Rabbeinu lay down, Moshe Rabbeinu lay down. And then the Rebbeinu Shalom said, Neshama, come with me, we're going to go to Gan Eden. And the Neshama says, I'm not going. No, I'm not going to go. The Rebbeinu Shalom, he gave me a shutuf. He gave me a goof that's kadosh v'tor. I want no other shutuf than you. And the Baruch says, Afal became kach kesam. It's told that the Levi Yisrael B'Dishim had a son, Rameir, who was nifta young. Since he was a Baruch HaKodesh. And on the way to the Levia, Levi Yisrael was dancing. And they thought that he must have lost his sense of what was happening there on the way to the Levia. Why is he dancing? He says, Rebbe, are you aware of what was happening? He says, I was given a neshama to her, and I'm able to return it exactly as he gave it to me. He gave it to me tar, and I'm able to return it back to him tar. Many, a million questions to go by our mind about this last several weeks, the last months, including that all of us couldn't be there because of your sibling Shas, Tzias Nishon. And I asked myself, why? Can I understand it? Can I understand how it's possible? And I said, because my uncle said, she was higher than all the rest of her generation. Couldn't say that we are one of her generation. She was that much higher than all of us. And so, that this Levaya is a Shleishim Agbola, we should be dancing, that this Neshama is being returned. doesn't want to leave this world. It found such a guf Tahar Kodesh, so filled with sweetness, so filled with Torah mitzvahs, so filled with Ahavas Yisrael. But Moshe, where are you going to find another guf for such a neshama? Never find another one like this. Moshe, I don't understand why and how these things happen. But we know one thing. The Rebbeinu Shalom must say, eingekauft a Pekelaskin singen im Mimi von der Welt. The Rebbeinu Shalom is going to come to Elam Emes and say, Tzach Nishloz and Mimi is not going to let the Rebbeinu Shalom get away with this. The Rebbeinu Shalom Mimi is coming, watch out. Bezdin Shalman will start to tremble because of the Koyach HaKadosh that is about to enter the Elam Emes. Such beauty, such radiance, such gewaltige Koyachas of Torah. That was created in her home by her and my Mrs. brother-in-law and her children. Bezdin Shalman, be aware. Miriam Nechama Bas and Benzin Chaim Shlem and Shlomo Zisha is about to enter Elam Emes. With that Kedusha and Tahara, with which we all tried, every one of us tried in our way, accept upon ourselves different Kabbalahs, different Inuyim in Yisurim, in Hirschussim, and the Baruch Shem says, no. Kach Kazani, this is my Gzera. This is the time. Before Matan Torah needs to come a change in this world, which can only take place by her Neshama coming before Bezdin Shalman B'Shas Matan Torah. Yemoch Hashem Dimur Al Koponim is not the right words, because we can't understand how the tears will ever stop. Except that we trust that the Rebbeinu Shalom will take care of them. And all these tears will open up the Sha'ar Shemayim, all the tears of all of Bnei Yisrael. Be zeichet that the Neshama will be a Meilus for all of us. So we should be able to dance in each other's simchas. Shleim.
Rav Yaakov Hapfer, on behalf of the community.
In the Medrash, it's clear, as it is in Shulchan Aruch, that the main purpose of a Hesped is to bear testimony. Ru'uma habrius oimris oleho. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, let us hear what the people say about her. And when they say, Odom kosher, ishok sheira, miyad noitla HaKodesh Baruch Hu, the Rebbeinu Shalom takes her close to him. Does he have to know, what does it mean? What do the people say? The Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't know the mark of a man, who the person is. What it means, I think, is that what effect did the person have on others? And that's determined by the people themselves. The greatest bearers of that testimony are first and foremost her family. her magnificent family without saying any kind of Hespedim, which is questionable today. The greatest bearer of that testimony is just to look at her children. And if you would have seen who walked her out of the house this morning, her children, different kind of children, her biological children, and other children that became part of her family, adopted children, children that she, the Nifteris, and Badal Chaim, Rabinche, had such a wonderful effect on them and made them children, made them their children. One big family. I'm almost positive. She told me this many times, but I think that the first time that the Nifteris told me this was in Denver. The Rebbeinu Shalom hat ihr gegeben geschenkte Jahr. She knew, and everybody knew, how sick she was, how deathly sick she was. And she looked at every day and every year as a matana. But I would like you, as people, to think a little about going through her situation. You know what a family needs. You know what children need. Children need love. Children need affection. Children need patience. Children need calmness. Those who are around you need that. You know what it is when a person can live every second and every day of their mind knowing that this illness can reoccur and come back at any time? You know what it does to a person? And she always, and she talked about this. Sie weiß nicht, was der Rebbeinu Shalom hat in sein Hespedim. She doesn't know what the Rebbeinu Shalom's plans are. But I'm living here now, and I believe that there's a Rebbeinu Shalom. And it wasn't something that you can plaster on a bus stop. I believe it was true. It was emes emunah. Emes emunah. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows when my time comes, my time will come. But right now, I'm living to live his life. And that's the way she lived her life with her family, with her children. There was calmness, there was sweetness, there was love, there was affection. And you didn't feel that tenseness and that nervousness and what's going to be? Am I going to be here tomorrow? If you realize the strength, the inner strength that it takes for somebody to live like that, and the emes emunah that it takes to live like that, you realize the magnificence of that. She grew up in a home, if I could use a word, was hefker. Hefker in the sense, it was open to everybody. It was a home that was open to anybody. People who saw it, people who wanted something, people who were toyim, didn't know, or seeking a way, seeking a right way, thirsting for a little kirva to Rebbeinu Shalom, not even realizing it. And her parents, her father showed a way. And she grew up in this open home that was open for everybody. There was no day or night. And when she built a home with a compromise. There was a compromise. She knew she's a mother. She knew she's a wife. And she knew she's there and needs to be there for others as well. And there was a balance, and there was a compromise, and it was a beautiful one, where her children felt her motherhood, her husband felt her wifehood. and others felt a place, a secure place, a loving place, a place to grow. That's the home that she developed together with Yibad L'Chaim Rebitche. I know the time is short, and I just would like to say one thing, and really, I speak as an individual now, and I ask for Mechila from Nifteres. She had a lot of ideas, and the word that was used before, she was independent. That's the home she came from. She had ideas in chinuch. She had ideas for young Bnei Yisrael. I have a book that she wrote on my shelf, not published, but she worked hard. Wanted it to be for Kalas, for young women in our community and in Klal Yisrael. And I just ask you for mechila. Maybe I wasn't encouraging enough. Maybe I wasn't. And didn't give it what it needed to be given, and didn't give you the support that needed to be given. I could only say that you loved your people. You wanted to do for your people. And sometimes you can do something here in this world, and there's a time that you can even do better in a different world, a better world. And the Rebbeinu Shalom should help that you should be an emissary, a good better. Please, on behalf of your wonderful husband, Rebitche, together ask for your family, wonderful family, children, grandchildren, and azayvaita. Ask for your kihila kedosha, aguta betaka for Klal Yisrael, which needs Yeshuas and the Chamas.
From my dear friend, like a brother, Rebitche, Nitar Mishpacha. We all grew up together in Denver, Colorado, under the leadership of a bright and shining star, shone like no other, Marenu Harav Shlomo Tursky, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha. He had a profound influence on every one of our lives. His last day in this world was Simchas Torah over 30 years ago. And we all remember the rikud, the dance that he danced on Simchas Torah with his talis over his head and his family's kleina Sefer Torah. Was a moiridik sight. It taught us the meaning of what it means to dance on Simchas Torah. And every step of his life was a lesson. It's not easy to grow up the child of a great person. And Mimi had two great people, many great people, two great parents, each in their own way. The Piasetzner Rebbe, Zechat Tzadik Livracha, who perished in the Warsaw Ghetto, he kept a journal, and he wrote in his diary on his 40th birthday to himself, what can I accomplish in my life now that I'm 40 years old? So to learn Torah more, it seems I learn as much Torah as I possibly can. To be miskaber on my Yetzer, it seems that I do that as much as I possibly can. So what's left for me at the age of 40? He says, "Zu sein a Yid." I want to be a Jew. I've always wondered what he meant. And perhaps it was the words of our great Rebbe, Rabbi Twersky Zatzal, that he taught us that Kabbalah HaTorah, which is almost upon us, is not just to receive the Torah, but that the Torah becomes you, becomes a part of you, becomes us. Zu sein a Yid. That's how Mimi lived her life. The Torah was her, and she was the Torah. In every fiber of her being. She accomplished this. Our families are woven together for many doros. And in this door, we raised our children together, our grandchildren. When the Sfas Emes was Nifter, his great son, the Imre Emes, said the Tata had gehat asach yoren. His father had many years. His brother said to him, "What do you mean? You didn't live that long." So he says, "Lange Jahren." Ich meant lange Jahren. Long years. And Mimi had long years. Kulan shavin l'tova. Every moment was tov. She was a strong person, a focused person, and she was also a warm person. I want to make mention for Mimi and Itchy of NCSY, the zechus for them, for her. And not the hundreds of lives that they touch, but the thousands of lives that they touch. And now that's Dore Doros already. And I want to make mention of Ajab, which Rabbi Lowenbraun leads in such a beautiful way. And Mimi was there every single step of the way. Wherever he went, she went. With her illness, with her struggles. You'd never know. Because they were in it together as a team. A team, a husband and wife team. This last week, before Kabbalah HaTorah, was the week of Malchus. And this day, the first day of Shalosh Yimei Hagbolah, is Hod Sheva Malchus, the day that Miriam's neshama went up to Shamayim. She was Malchus. And she was Hod Sheba Malchus. The absolute glory of Malchus was Mimi. And that's the day that her neshama, the beautiful Helika neshama, went up to Shamayim. I want to say, on behalf of my wife, myself, our children. My parents, my father, Zichrono Livracha, such a close friend with Rabbi Twersky, and Lahavdu Ben Chaim L'Chaim, my mother, Shatichya. I want to say to Mimi, thank you. You gave us so much. I want to say to Itchy, I want to say thank you. Every single one of us is in this room. Because you lit up our lives. You lit up our lives. I want to say to Yasin and your beautiful mishpacha, to Shulamis, beautiful mishpacha, to Uchi, your beautiful mishpacha, to Shoshana, to Shlomi, to Toby, your beautiful mishpacha. I want to say to Rav Mati, Yidi Nafshi, your family, beautiful mishpacha. I want to say to Rachel, your beautiful mishpacha. Mimi's next. I want to say to Rivki, your beautiful mishpacha. To Yocheved, your beautiful mishpacha. And to Malki, your beautiful mishpacha. You are Malchus. And every Bimelo Muvan Hamila, you are Malchus. And Mimi's Hocha B'Malchus is a keser. It's a keser on the name of your family and of this community and of Klal Yisrael. So Miriam Nechama, Bas Marenu Harav, and Sion Chaim Shlomo Meshul and Zusha. Be a Melitza Yosher for us. You really know how to argue. You never lost an argument. Melitza Yosher for your mishpacha, for our community which you helped build, and for Klal Yisrael. Bila hamavis lenetzach, v'mach Hashem Elokim dima me'al kopan. Briefly, on behalf of the mishpacha, I'd like to ask, Nechemia Weinreb to please come out.
Mommy, you were the foundation of our family. Who's going to take care of us now? Who's going to take care of Daddy? Who's going to give us the warmth and the love when we need the encouragement? Who's going to be so happy to see us every time, no matter how often you see us? Who's going to replace you? I can't imagine the family without you. I used to joke to my mother-in-law that I married my wife, Shalamis, to get closer to her. And they say there's always a truth in a joke. And in this joke, there was a lot of truth. Last night, Mitzvah Shabbos, I was in Las Vegas for business. And I got a phone call right after Shabbos to come home right away. And my wife Shalamis was by the bed of my mother-in-law. And she said, speak to Mommy. And I spoke to her. And she said, ask her to wait for you. I said, I can't ask her to wait for me. They were saying it was any minute. I jumped on a plane, and I got to the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, right around then. And everyone, all the children were around there, and everyone said, she's waiting for you. I came in the room, and I whispered into her ear how much I love her, and how much pure neshama she has, and how she should go to the Kisei Kavod and daven for all of us. Because if anyone is going to be on the Kisei Kavod, it's her. And her tefillas, Hashem will listen to them. We need him. We need Hashem to help us. We need her tefillas. And then within 3 minutes, she passed away. It was amazing. She really waited for me. She did not want to be without one of her children around her at the time. Shalamis asked her a couple weeks ago. She said, Mommy, are you scared to die? She said, no, that if you live a Torah life and you try to do your best, then the Malach HaMavis is not a scary thing. Like 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure of the time, we realized we weren't sure how long of a time it was. We were having a family discussion. There's something called hospice where they start just making a person comfortable. So I went into my mother-in-law's room and I spoke to her. And I said to her, what would you prefer? Would you prefer that they just to be comfortable now? She said, Nechemia, I want people taking care of me to live, not to die. I'm going to live a lot longer than you think, Nechemia. I asked her forgiveness, and she said, I have nothing to forgive her for. And I think all her children feel the same, and she probably reacted the same to all her children. But when you go to the Olam HaEmes, you're going to see the truth. And we still all need to ask you, Mommy, please forgive us for not being there for you for enough. You wanted us around all the time. You loved us so much. You were so much to us, to everyone, not only your own children, but everyone was your child. I was a regular at the Lowenbraun house as a child already, 14 years old. And the hundreds of children who passed through their house, everyone felt like a child. Everyone felt like family. And when she got sick, the last thing she wanted was for anyone to help her or feel bad for her. And it was very important to her that most people don't even find out about it. And she said one day to me in the hospital, she said, you know what bothers me the most? Is that my children have to take care of me, and I can't take care of them. She loved everyone, and everyone loved her. And everyone spoke about the same thing, the pain that she lived in, the suffering and pain that she went through. And she never complained, never complained. It was always about the other person. She was the most selfless person. Nothing mattered but everyone else. Everyone else. The love between her and her children, I can't explain it. I really believe that my father and my brother-in-laws are not speaking today because they can't talk. They can't talk. They're so, the love for her, they can't express themselves right now. They're such shock and such, they don't know how to put into words. But I can tell you from being in the home, the love the children and their mother had is a relationship I've never seen. And when I spoke to her, I asked everyone to leave the room. I wanted to have some time alone with her. Once again, this was about 2 weeks ago. When we started talking about, and all she wanted to talk about was what's going to be with everyone else. Nothing about what's going on in her life, only what's going to happen to this person, what's going to happen to that person, and that is everything she stood for. Time is short, so I just want to take a moment on behalf of the family to thank certain people who are very, very important parts of her life, especially at the end. And the first is we had Dr. Fetting in an image of Eliyahu Navi come. Dr. Fetting was her doctor, her cancer doctor, and he was such a compassionate person. The family loved to see him. Every time he came, it was excitement. He cared so much about Mommy, and Mommy really cared about him, really appreciated him. Even when she came back from the hospital, he would come. He came 4 times in, I think it's been 2 weeks, just to see how she's doing. He was there, I think on Shabbos, on Friday. And just a very, very special person. And we really appreciate everything you did. All the children were there for her. Everyone wanted to help in any way they could, at all times. But Shana, there's no words to express what you did for your mother. There's no words to express. Your whole life was just to be there for her. Night and day, day and night. You didn't even know the difference at certain points. Whenever your mother called, you wanted to be the one there to be there for her. You wanted the one to be there to help her. And you never left her side. And we all thank you, because all she wanted is to be taken care of by her children, and you're the one who made that possible. We want to also thank all of the family, her sisters, who were everything to her. Once again, not just the children's relationship, but the sisters were like, the closeness is indescribable. The uncles, the brother, family was so important to her, and it meant everything to her. Most families, when there's a simcha, a chasana or something, you go from out of town, you travel to the chasana. My mother-in-law, if somebody got upsharon in New York, she was there. She was there for any simcha, any time she could have an excuse to see her family, she would run. She always felt they needed her, and she needed to be there. And everyone really wanted her there. So I want to thank them. And Bracha Menachem Goldberger, Rabbi Menachem Goldberger, is like part of family to her. She felt so close to you, and you were there for her, and you meant so much to her. Thank you for everything you did. Bika Cholim, who was amazing. Food to the hospital, food to the home, anything we needed. Sandy Klein, who at the end was the only one who was actually able to get any blood out of her for testing, and the last day she was by her side the whole time. Thank you. Please, Mommy, daven for us, and please be meichel for all the wrong we've done you.
We don't say a Kel Malei Rachamim today, we say Niftam L'David to Kapitel Tes Zayin. And please stand up while we say the Kapitel. Niftam L'David Shomreini Yal Ki Chasisi Vach Amar L'Adonai Adonai Ota Tavasi Ba'al Alecha L'Kadoshim Asher Ba'oretz Hema Va'adirei Kol Chefsi Van Yirbu Atzvoisam Acher Moharu Ba'alasif Niskei Midan Uvalesa Eshemoisam Asafosoi Adonai Menos Chelki V'chosi Ata Tomich Gorali Chavoli Menachlu Li Ba'neimim Afnacha L'Shofar Eloi Avorech Es Adonai Asher Yo'atzani Afleilos Yisruni Chil Yosai Shivisi Adonai L'Negvi Samid Kimimini Bal Emod, Lochein Samach Libi, Vayogel Kavodi, Ach Besor Yishkon Levetach, Kilosa Azov Nashi Lishol, Lositein Chasidcha Liros Shachas, Todieni Ora Chaim, Sova Samochos Es Panecha, Neimos Bimincha Netzach. The Kavura will take place in Milwaukee, and the family will return here, Bezras Hashem, tomorrow morning. They will begin to receive visitors for Shiva tomorrow at about 11 a.m.
Kaki.
Time you get ready?
Sorry.